Make that big boss less special. It ain't no game, but they saying welcome to the second level. Second level. Second level gaming. Second level.
Hi. Oh, it works. Yay. How are you guys? Happy Sunday. How is your PixelPop going so far? Yay, PixelPop. Okay, good. So I would have been concerned if everyone hadn't said yay, because this is awesome. So we're here to talk about content creation best practices. My name is Aureylian. My real name is Aaron Wayne. I have been doing content creation on Twitch and on YouTube for about the last 5 to 6 years. I accidentally got into it because I played World of Warcraft, and then I quit after a very cataclysm incident, and I never went back. So I started playing Minecraft, and I did what a lot of content creators do when they try to start making content or start playing online, and I went to Twitter, and I literally just searched in Twitter's bar Minecraft and found people, and I was like, oh, they look fun, and then I tweeted them, will you play Minecraft with me, which I do not recommend. It worked out for me, and somebody online known as In the Littlewood saw my tweet, and he was like, hey, you look like you're pretty funny. Would you like to live stream with me? And I was like, well, what's live streaming? And he said, well, we're going to play Minecraft, and people are going to watch us. And I was like, that is the stupidest idea. Why would anybody watch this nonsense? This is ridiculous. And he was like, no, just try it. So I did, and of course, thinking that was 2 people. I was a complete idiot. And everyone was like, oh, you're an idiot and funny. You should start doing YouTube videos. And I was like, what's a YouTube video? Because I'd never seen one. I thought YouTube was for cats. So long story short, I stumbled my way into it, and here I am 5 years later. I also work for Twitch full-time as the community manager, so if you have questions about live streaming, I'm definitely your girl for that. But that's why we're here, to talk about things to do and do not do for your content creation. So we have a lovely panel of panelists. If you guys want to go one by one and introduce yourselves and talk about how you got into live streaming or content creation and what that looked like, we'll get started.
My name is Kayla. I am a Twitch partner, and I am the St. Louis community manager. That is also powered by Twitch. My Twitch name is the Silver Foxe. I started in content creation. Really, I've been sort of like an entertainer my whole life. I am classically trained as a clarinetist. I'm also an avid gamer, so whenever my husband bought us an Xbox One, Twitch was one of the main apps, and I was like, what is this? I checked it out, and it looked awesome, and I knew from that point that I really wanted to get into content creation. It's amazing that you can play video games and create content at the same time, so Twitch was a great platform for that.
Hello, I am William Grates. Twitch name is WGrates. Really hard, I know. I got into content creation just because I was watching a whole bunch of streamers, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to go play Wolfenstein, and some of my friends were like, oh, why don't you toss it up on stream and just show us how to do it, how to play, and I'm like, okay, and, well, then now I'm here. It worked out really well for me, so I've been playing games ever since Atari, IBM PC, all my life, so just have a lot of fun with it. I just like to build channels around positivity and, fun and good times and have a good time.
I go on Twitch as CharlieStMonica. I actually found Twitch right around about a month after they opened the creative section of Twitch. So I don't really do gaming. I do sometimes. But mostly I focus on creative content creation, which is actually something that a lot of gaming developers and artists could, find interesting to stream their work as well. I found Twitch. My friend basically was like, hey, you can paint on Twitch now. And I was like, what's Twitch? And then that's the rest is history.
So I think what we all have in common here is we all went like, what's that? Right? So it's an important thing to know for content creation, right? Because a lot of ways that people get discovered, or they find a new section on Twitch which is creative, or you are a character streamer, yeah? So you don't actually see his face, it's a Doge, and the Doge talks and responds just the way he would, which is really neat, right? So there are constant emerging ways to find out how to make your content. How do you come up with these ideas, or how do you find the thing that's going to set you apart once you figure out what Twitch is or like what content creation is? What's like the next step to figuring out, okay, now how do I do this and in a way that's going to set me apart from everyone else?
Well, I got to correct you here is I'm not the dog. He's running around here somewhere. I'm just the assistant. I take care of him.
Oh, okay. Okay.
He's running around. Just look down. He's about 2 feet tall.
The voices are so similar. I got confused.
I know. Blonde hair, you know.
Yeah, blonde hair.
I stumbled into what I do is I wasn't really looking at a way to set myself apart. I didn't want to be on the screen, and I just wanted that reaction. I wanted people to be able to see my facial reactions because I feel that sets apart a lot of streamers is you're being able to see them and talk to them instead of just talking to the game. You know, you can chat with somebody and they can respond in voice, but you can't see their emotions. You can't see all the inflections. So I added the dog camera, and I made sure it worked really well. So when I move my mouth, when I smile, when my eyebrows move, when my cheeks move, all the facial structures move, and you can see all that reaction. And I wanted it, I'm like, oh, this is kind of cool. Everybody has to be doing this. This isn't that big of a, then my channel exploded, and I'm like 500 viewers. I'm like, so no one's doing this. So this is kind of a thing. Okay, well, let's stream 7 days a week and see what we can do. So now I work full-time and stream full-time, and now I'm like, what's a social life? I can sleep. Where's my sleep? So you kind of like set yourself apart on one thing like that, but I also like to build my channel around positivity and good vibes because you come home and a lot of people have jobs or school and they just want to relax a little bit, and the last thing I want to do is go someplace that everyone's, you know, talking bad. And while bad stuff does happen in life, you know, when I go play a game, I just want to relax and have fun, so why not go do that? So I build a good environment for that kind of thing, and I hope that kind of sets my channel apart, and what I do sets myself apart naturally, but it's not just all that's there, because after 5 minutes, you're like, oh, it's a talking dog. Okay, I've seen that. Now I'm done.
Getting started on Twitch, that actually wasn't a question that I asked myself. It was something that I wanted to try out. But as I started to grow, I realized that community and chat interaction was the main thing that I wanted to do on Twitch. I think that's really, really important. So for me, I love to be funny or try to be funny, and I'm a big fan of memes. So I have this thing where I do, I do a raid response, and basically someone comes in, they roll a die, whatever that number is, it corresponds with a raid response. I filmed myself as Shia LaBeouf, and I did the whole just do it speech. It's my motivational speech. So yeah, I like to film skits and just make people laugh. I really like interaction. So another thing that people can do is if they want to do a command, a GIF will pop up on stream, something funny, a meme perhaps. But for me, it's not really so much as aesthetic as far as my channel goes. I mean, I love channels that look great, but I really like to focus on chat interaction.
Community is also a big one for me. I think especially with streaming, you develop this community of people, and so experimenting with different things that they're also interested in, getting feedback from them on things that work or don't work, providing stuff. For me, I do a lot of stuff off stream, so the time that I stream is the time that I stream, but I spend like 80% of the time, like there's so much time that goes into the community end of it, like with Discord, social media, different stuff like that, creating contests, creating different like activities that people can do together. So like for my channel, for example, we have a big photography community. So we have photo contests, we have like photo prompts on a daily basis that people in the community choose. So just kind of remembering that your viewers and the people are a community of people, and then kind of creating like an environment for them.
So each of you brought something up that I'm going to touch on. So we're gonna hop down the line. So you start your channel, right? You figure out what you want. You figure out this is what I'm going to do, or maybe you're a couple streams into it. You're trying to find your sweet spot, and you go live, and you have one viewer. What do you do?
So a lot of people, whenever they start, they just sit there and play video games, talk talk about what you're seeing, talk about how you think the storyline is going, just talk about anything. Because if people come in, most of the time whenever they come in, they don't immediately start talking to you. They'll sit there and watch for a couple of minutes. And if they just sit there and see you just sitting there playing a video game, they have nothing to converse with. So I would definitely say make sure that you're talking, talk out the game, and then whenever someone comes in, they can have a conversation with you.
So for me, I have multiple ways I do that, because when someone comes in my stream for the first time, and it's happened each time, they're always like, "Are you actually a dog?" My answer is, "Yeah, I'm a real dog. I stream here 6 days a week. You can come say hi." "Well, why don't you bark or stuff?" No. I talk in English. My chat's English. You know, we do all that. So you engage, you make a little bit of fun out of it. You do talk. You talk. And you have fun with it. My fun things are commentary on the game. So if you're playing a game like Wolfenstein and it's narrating the story and you're in space and all of a sudden you come across a room with a toilet. I wonder if you flush in space, does it go back up? You know, just fun little commentary and quotes throughout it. You literally are a commentator and act like a sports commentator. Kids are sometimes some of the best ways to do this, because I can watch kids 13, 14, even 9 streaming with parents there, and they're just talking, and it's non-stop talking, and it's about just whatever they're doing, and nonsense sometimes goes through their head, and they learn they just do it wonderfully. So you have to kind of put your mindset of, where's my stream going to end? I can go completely random talking about this, oh yeah, I'm talking on a mic here. I wonder what I'm going to have for lunch today. That rice sandwich looks kind of good. Ooh, I like bread. I wonder what kind of cheese I should put on that. Cheese is with cows. What kind of cows are in that field over there? And it's literally that kind of communication that you have to go stream to stream to stream, and sometimes it just is a left turn the entire time. And a lot of people, end up making a comment in chat. Where'd you get on cows? Well, we were talking about lunch. No idea, but it works. It works really well. And once you start building up that chat, it becomes a lot easier when you have a lot of people in chat throwing stuff at you.
Yeah, eventually chat will kind of run itself. But when you first start out, some tips and tricks. Just before you stream, look at front page of Reddit. That's tons of stuff to talk about right there. You never know, what one thing you say out loud, somebody will be like, oh, and then they'll pipe in and chat all of a sudden. They might have just been a lurker for forever, had you not said that random thing that you saw on Reddit. And other than that, what they said, just talking, making funny voices. Elspeth is an amazing example of somebody who just doesn't stop. And even when she's not talking about anything of substance, it's interesting to listen to because she's doing a funny voice or talking about the game or something like that.
If I could add on real quick, she said whenever you start the stream and you have one viewer, you really need to make sure you're utilizing other social media services. It's not so much as just going live on Twitch. You need to make sure that people know that you're live. So go on Twitter, post what you're playing that night, tell everyone you're live. Go on Instagram, post a picture, say, hey, I'm going live. I'm going to be playing this game tonight. The more visibility that you have, that's going to help people know that you're live and that they will come to the stream.
And then just one quick follow-up. When I first started, I'd have a notepad file open, and I'd make topics during the day of what to talk, and it would sit there on my second monitor next to my OBS viewer so I could see what was broadcasting. I would go down lists of topics and talk to people in channel about those topics whenever I didn't have another thing to touch on. So having little prompts can really help you out, too.
So, and you mentioned social media, which was one of the next topics I was going to bring up, which is making sure, right, that you have your stream, you've decided, you know what your gimmick is, you have, your chat interaction, you're set for that. Discoverability, right? So now you're ready. Your stuff is ready and you're out there. But we all know at this point, 6, 7, 8 years down the road, Justin TV has been around for 9 years, since 2008. So it's been around for 9 years. Now platforms with content can be areas where they are very, very, very overpopulated. So in this mass sea of content, how do you make sure that you're different? And one of them is social media, right? So making sure that if you pick a name, try to use your brand across all the sites. If you're Joey X 456 on one, and then you're all the names in my head are really inappropriate. If you're Diva Fan 02 on something else, they're not going to like correlate the two, right? So if you're going to pick something, even if it has to be slightly different, make sure that the branding is recognizable across your platforms. But in addition to social media having like Twitter, I think the most popular ones are Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, Snapchat. Yeah, Snapchat discoverability is really bad, but a lot of people have Snapchat to talk to their communities. What other ways, aside from that, do you guys either find people to collaborate or in turn add on to your discoverability?
I would say one big thing, she mentioned like a ton of platforms, and sometimes it's hard to like produce content on all of those things. There are services that you can use where you can schedule content to be created like a week ahead of time, however long, and it'll post on all of those platforms for you. I think just making sure that you're not posting regular information all the time, like I'm live on Twitch, here's my link. Like give people information on different platforms. Use your hashtags. There's a ton of different ways you can do discoverability on each platform, and that might be something that you'll have to look in per platform to see what you can do. But yeah, there's a lot of different things you could do in that sense.
I mean, Aureylian kind of nailed all the discoverability platforms in general, as I've always used Twitter and Twitch as my main platforms to use. But for me, I discovered channels just by going down the channel list and looking, who's under 20 and seeing who I can find. And I found this community basically by doing that because I knew Keys, who was doing an adoption drive. So that was just a completely 100% random encounter. And, we live 5 minutes from each other. So just actually hitting that streaming button and starting, and that's one of the big things that even streamers, people that want to start streaming are like, I got to have my panels perfect, or I got to have my content perfect. I got this idea in my head and I want to wait, a month to figure it out. And hitting that streaming button is how you're going to be discovered and actually starting. And after that, everything else kind of comes and helps along with it. But you got to get started at some point to be able to be seen.
I think discovering or deciding, I guess, who your target audience is, like who is your target, demographic that you're trying to reach, and then doing things specifically to talk to them directly, just like marketing anything. So another good tip is to take your stream or your content and then be able to break it. We talked a little bit about this at this Twitch St. Louis meetup, and then breaking that down to reuse across different platforms. So like while I'm streaming, I might be like, all right, guys, I'm not going to talk to chat for like 2 minutes, and I'm going to do a quick tutorial, and then I'll just like walk through like editing an eyeball or something, and then I'll timestamp it, and then I'll cut it, upload it to YouTube, put all the words and the search stuff in there. Some people are looking how to do that. They find my stream. I've gotten a lot of viewers doing stuff like that as well.
I think that's, you specifically touched on something I hope someone would say, which is the actual science of like discoverability and hashtags and things like that for your tags and content that you're doing. I think a lot of people don't realize the importance of when you set your stream title, and I cannot tell you how many times I see this, where I will go down a viewer list just to see like what's happening in a game category for work, to learn about a community, and I'll go down to the people kind of towards the bottom that have a handful of viewers, and they're playing a game, let's say the game is Minecraft, and their title is like, it'll be like Meme Lord. And I'm like, well, but what are they doing in Minecraft? Are they playing modded Minecraft? Are they doing a Let's Play? Are they playing mini games? Like, I want to know. And people will go to Twitch and type in our search bar, they'll type in modded Minecraft. Well, if your title doesn't have modded Minecraft in it, and it doesn't have anything that indicates what type of content creation, you're doing yourself a disservice. Like, yes, you should absolutely be funny. You should absolutely do that. But maybe it's like, modded Minecraft, and then in brackets you put like your silly title, right, which is like Meme Lord or whatever you want to type in. Utilizing the search options and your titles and the titles of your video and making sure your game category is set correctly. Now on Twitch, you can actually even, you can stream to a community. So like I always am in the positivity community, but then there are also certain ones that are like I do Final Fantasy, right? So I can also be in the Final Fantasy community. I can also be in the first playthroughs. So the first time I play through a game, if someone specifically wants to watch a first playthrough of the game, they can find me in that community. And so for discoverability, it can take a long time to go from 1 viewer to 10 viewers to 20 viewers, right? It's a rolling stone. And if you're not doing anything to push it along, you're not going to go anywhere. So you need to make sure that you take the time, and if that means you only stream 1 hour that day instead of 2 or 3 because you're researching what you should actually do to make your stream successful, it's definitely worth the time investment to get started. So now the next step would be time schedules, right? You said that you were like, let's stream every day for 7 days. I would put that as an under the don't category, because it's very easy to get discouraged. Take it from someone who has a full-time job and is a single mom and also streams and makes content. Life is very hard for everyone, and people get very busy, and I used to limit my days. 2 days a week, that's all I was streaming. When my stream started growing, and I was like, back again. So I was like, okay, I'm going to stream 5 days a week. Now I'm going to stream 7 days a week, except for when I travel. And I got to a point recently, about probably 2 weeks ago, where I was just upset all the time. Like, my house wasn't clean. I couldn't spend time with my family on my free days. I couldn't do any of these things. And this is like a seasoned vet. I should know better than that. And I didn't, because it's very easy to see the numbers and see I'm ready to go. And I got on stream one day and someone was like, why were you late? And I was like, because my kid didn't feel good. I don't know why you guys are mad at me. I can't stream. This is not a joke. You can go back and watch it. Don't do that. We're all humans. We have things that we have to take care of, and it's very, very important as a streamer and as a content creator to remember that you have to come first sometimes, where your mental well-being and finding that perfect life balance is super duper duper important. I'm sure you guys you're a mom, you work, you guys can talk about finding that balance and how that works into how you figured out where your sweet spot was with creation.
That's something I've actually struggled with. I've been on Twitch for 3 years now, and I was always like, I'm going to go hard, I'm going to stream as much as I can. But yeah, being a mom, it just wasn't feasible. I'm actually in the middle of a 3-month break from streaming at the time, just because I was sacrificing my family time to try to stream, and it was making me very, very unhappy. So I decided to take some time off and just really evaluate my priorities, and I found that my family is so important and that they definitely need to come first in my life. So that's something that I think people need to understand, that they need to put themselves and their families first, and then set a schedule, but stream that it's not going to kill you or take time away. You need to be happy, because if you're not happy at home, people can tell whenever you stream. So make sure that you're prioritizing yourself first.
So I'm very much an outlier when it comes to streaming. I'll start off by that. Everything I do is unusual compared to the average streamer. So when I talk about this, base it a little bit on yourself. I first started with about 2 to 3 days of maybe 1.5 hour streams, and then I'd go raid a streamer and I'd have a blast, and he'd do a whole celebration war witch. So I'd have a lot of fun. Then I started growing, and I set 4 days of schedule for about 3 hours, but I'd take days off from that. And then my channel exploded, and I had a goal of let's stream and find out the best schedule, because what are your numbers, what are your bad days, and don't ever do that, because numbers will fluctuate. But I found my days that I wanted to take breaks on, so now I stream 6 days a week. But again, I'm an outlier. I like to keep busy, very much so. But then I get days off for this kind of thing, and I take 3-day breaks sometimes. So, that interrupts by having something to do. So I'm not streaming, but I'm completely away from my computer, which is kind of like a little mini vacation. So I take Wednesday evenings off right now, and I take, mornings on the weekends, but normally I just be playing games. So I have fun. I relax. I actually find streaming a little relaxing depending on what I'm doing. Gaming can be relaxing, but streaming is a whole different ball of wax for most people. It's a lot of work, a lot of effort, and you can cause yourself a lot of stress. So she hit it, Aureylian and Fox hit it exactly, is watch out for your mental health. It's a big thing, and even myself, I take some days where I don't feel it, I'm going to take off. I have one of my mods here, and she'll tell you every now and then, just out of the blue, I'll be like, sorry guys, I'm not streaming today. Or I just woke up because I slept for 14 hours. I'm going to be 2 or 3 hours late, guys. So it's a big thing to make sure you take care of yourself as you stream. And Aureylian said, it's really easy to see those growing numbers and be like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. And then suddenly you're really unhappy and you don't understand why until you step back and go, I don't have any time for myself. I'm giving it all to everyone else. And you have to take care of yourself first to be able to make everyone else happy. But as long as you're able to do that, it can work out well. And at the moment, I've found the right balance for me, which is usually not the right balance for everybody else. Just one example amongst the sea.
Yeah, it's definitely about finding that balance. For me, I've bounced back and forth between having like a super very like every 3 days a week at this time, and then 1 day a week at this time, and I had a super strict schedule. And then I've had times where like I didn't stream consistently for like a month or two, and I will say that definitely affected my numbers, but it didn't affect my community, and that's because I just made sure to I was still doing movie nights with them every night on Rabbit while I was working or editing. I was still talking to them in Discord. I was still talking on my social media doesn't disappear just because I'm not streaming, so the community didn't disappear. Did affect the numbers. So like my biggest problem that I struggle with is having to have that balance between, okay, maybe it's just 2 days. So like right now I'm trying to do 2 days a week at this time for sure. I will probably stream more than that, and that'll just be bonus stuff. But that way you can at least find that a little bit of consistency in there while still giving yourself like being a human.
So while we're on the topic of mental health and streaming do's and don'ts, one of the things that I wanted to be sure to touch on, because for people that do content, whether you're new or you're established, I can tell you that the more you get into content creation, for most people, they'll tell you, oh, it just won't bother you. That's a lie. It will definitely bother you. And that's one of the things is as you start getting new viewers, there's always the potential, even with using auto mod or moderation practices or blacklisting certain keywords from your chat or your comment section in contents in your comment section of your content, one thing that happens is negative content, right? People come in, will make negative statements, they'll try to troll you, they'll try to bully you, they'll say something that kind of drags you down, and there have been panels at conventions just entirely dedicated to this topic, so I don't want to dedicate the whole panel, but I know for me personally, when someone throws a negative comment at you, they're going to do one of two things. Either one, they're just going to be like, you're ugly and I hate you, and you're like, well, yeah, I mean, I see myself every day, okay. And that there's nothing constructive in that, right? Like, if that person's doing that to do that, there's really nothing constructive you can pull, and you have to, like, just dismiss it out of your brain as, like, this person just wanted to say something mean to get under my skin, and I have to let that go. That's much easier said than done. It's very hard to get criticism of any kind, especially when it's something that you can't fix. So those are definitely hard. It does get a little easier with those kinds of things to like realize, I don't know this person doesn't know me, and therefore their comment is irrelevant. They're not part of my community, it's not someone I trust, and I have to let that go. Or they're going to do another thing, which is where they're going to hide something helpful in a really like negative comment, where they're going to be like, this chick is so annoying, this is one I've gotten, this chick is so annoying, and every time I freaking watch her videos, her microphone sounds like she's talking in a tin can. Okay, I can pull out, my audio is bad. Great, I can work on that. I can work on my audio, okay? So I got to take the you hate me and I'm annoying, and I got to take % out of the side. But my microphone sounds like a tin can, so then I would go to friends that were really good with audio and had really good audio and say, hey, someone made a comment on my video, my audio sounds really bad. Can you look at it? Like, what can I do to fix it? And they would tell me, okay, we'll do this, go into this setting, or you need a new microphone, or this might have happened, and then I can fix that, right? That's something that you can take from a negative comment and say, like, okay, there is something constructive, worded real terrible, but at least there's something I can pull out from that, right? So when people are looking at, and you're looking at comments that people may say, you just have to take, which road are they going, right? Throw it out if it's this way, and then if it's the one that's with a hidden comment, throw out the stuff that you can't use and pull out the thing that you can and try to improve yourself that way, right? I think it's really bad for you to just turn off and say, like, anyone who says anything bad is irrelevant and I hate them. That's just as bad, right? People are going to give you constructive criticism, sometimes in not very constructive ways. So it can be very hard. Talk to other content creators about it. Say, like, man, this person really bogged me down. This comment's like really hitting me hard, right? And people will talk to you about it. They'll be your support system. They'll help you. I would not advise taking it to social media. That's if you're trying to build a positive community. in my opinion, it's always better to highlight the positive things that people are doing than the negative. Sometimes there are issues that are brought to light. I know a lot of times, especially with women in gaming, that's like that gets me right in the soft spot. So someone will say something about, oh, little girls don't game, and then I quoted it, and I was like, I called bananas on you, sir, right? There's a funny way to do that, right? As I was like, as a mom, as an 8-year-old, I called bananas. So there are ways that you can acknowledge something negative, but you shouldn't focus on it. Instead, focus on building your community. If they have she does photography. If someone does a cool print of the day, she can retweet it and be like, wow, I'm so proud of my community. That helps foster what you're really interested in, right? It shows people that you're not going to let them down, because a lot of times they figure out that thing, and then they're just going to hit you on that all the time because they know they can get under your skin. Do you guys have other advice on dealing with negative comments or trolls, or like trying to balance out comments that come in with how you react to them?
At first, when I had no idea what I was doing, and being, I feel like, especially vulnerable as a female streaming, I had a lot of trolls. And before, I would really just try to banter with them and try to act like it rolled off my back, but it didn't. It made me feel horrible. But I'd say, like, as I started streaming more and like building a community and like having a support system, I feel like most people who try to troll you, they do it to get a reaction out of you. So normally whenever something like that happens now, and it doesn't really happen at all, thankfully, I just ignore it. I literally just ignore it, and my community knows what I expect, like when something like that happens, and they don't say anything. So we just ban them and move on, and that's it. And for me, I mean, really, it just depends on like what sort of like style you like to use. That's most effective for me. And I would say the other thing is just to make sure that your personal information is safe, because a lot of trolls like to maybe, I mean, we value our privacy because technically we're like an online personality. People would like to get under your skin. They post your name, they post your address, your IP address. Just make sure that you're using services to make sure that your personal information isn't readily available.
You should talk about that, because you made your name literally your name.
Well, it's not quite that.
Good. And I'm related to Batman, so we're on the same page.
I get that a lot. Oh, you're William Grates? Yeah, that's completely right. No, my background's in IT, so ever since like the internet came around, I've never used my real name, because back when you first started with message boards, no one ever had the real name there, so I grew up with that kind of mentality. And you and Fox touched on a good one about people trying to find you, and Aureylian, you probably know this a lot better than like myself, and me as a male can only even guess what these ladies have to deal with, and I've seen some of them from my female streamer friends, but I've had a server that I run DDoS before, and I've been attempted to be doxxed and swatted before. Now, this was even like when I was first a very small streamer, and someone was just nasty. Now I have 50,000 followers. You have hundreds of thousands everywhere. So I can only imagine that if you didn't have your info private, the things that come up, and you can see all kinds of YouTube videos about people being swatted and stuff like that because their info is out there. So safety in that regard is a big thing. But what was the question again?
What would you do to prevent people from harassing or banning you?
What I like to do in my channel for taking care of that is I'm lucky I get to do a little bit of deflection because it's not me on screen, even though it's me on screen. I like to actually not engage with the person on their comment in general when they're hateful like that. It's like, oh, a dog, how original. Well, I mean, I'm just here playing my game. Are you okay? Because a lot of times when people are trolling or coming after you, something's wrong in their life. So for me, I actually ask them, hey, what's going on with you? And a lot of the times we've turned those people around, and we've had some trolls that become good members of the community. And sometimes they'll keep on going, and then we'll just be like, all right, you're done. Or my mods will ban them or time them out or take care of them. But we've turned quite a few trolls around being like, yeah, that's the first time someone's kind of asked me how I've been doing. And, my family member just died, or I just lost a loved animal, and I just kind of want to, vent somewhere. And I see all these other people doing it on Twitch, and so I thought that's kind of the thing to do is, you streamers just do it, take it, and we can do whatever we want because you want the viewer. And it's like, no, I don't want viewers like that. I'm not going to sit there and take it. You're going to either, be smacked from me. I'll sometimes insult you back. Yeah, I'm just a dog. What are you? And you're over there just sitting in chat. Here I have this great positive community that you can no longer have a chance to be a part of. We've built this wonderful thing. So many people have fun here, and you've just ruined that possible chance. I wish you luck in your next community because it's not going to be here. And just, you try to stay away from the really negative stuff and kind of be like, you just missed out on a wonderful, amazing opportunity, and keep that positivity in general. But it's a little bit of a snide remark back at them, but sometimes you just gotta let it off, but also show, hey, I'm here and we're having fun.
Sometimes you gotta SpongeBob meme them, right?
Yep. Oh, my.
It's my favorite.
So when you stream, as you're building a community, you're also building a team of people that you trust, like your moderators, your moderation team. So, and not if you have enough discussions with them on the back end, so like if I have a day where like something happens, like and a troll comes in and does something absolutely insane, even worse than just saying some chat. I've had that happen before. After stream, I will just talk with the moderation team and we'll talk about how we would handle it in the future. And if your moderation team like kind of knows exactly what to do, that problem becomes less and less and less because they deal with it. You don't even have to react because it is true. They're always looking for a reaction. There is the case where there's sometimes is people who are just, they had a bad day, so they're being an asshole and maybe they're actually a nice guy. For me, as a female streamer, like you get like one chance. Like if you're going to be an asshole, like there's a million other streams you can go visit. You don't need to be in mine. That's kind of how I look at it.
And that's kind of why I said I'm a little bit different. Plus, I'm a male streamer, so I can only imagine some of the stuff. And I definitely 100% agree with you there because some of the harassment, unfortunately, that you females have to deal with, that I feel so bad for you.
I have really strong filters put on my chat because I don't want to mess with it. I don't want to handle it. There was one before Twitch had a program called Auto Mod, which is a feature that you can enable, which automatically detects like globally banned words and ways that people try to avert those banned words. So instead of using a letter, they use a number. Auto Mod will automatically continue to ban those words for you, and they'll automatically time out the user. Before that it existed, someone came in and said something, and I was playing a game that I was like really into, and I was just raging at the game, and they said something, and I thought they said one thing, and I went on this whole rant about how you're such a jerk, and like, don't talk to me like that, and like this whole thing, right? And then I like was like playing the game, and like all I'm doing is focus on this game, like what a terrible person this person was for saying this thing, and I look back over at chat, and the whole chat is like, you misread what he said, you didn't get it right. And I was like, oh, no. So then I sang him an apology song about how I was the asshole and how I was really sorry, and that person has been a subscriber for a year. So, yeah, like I think part of it too is like owning up, where like sometimes we're human, right? Sometimes it's really hard to just ban someone and let it go, and we'll say something, and we'll make a snide comment, and we'll say something about that. And if you mess up, you got to own up to it, right? My next point, which is the great segue, live is forever. So do you guys have specific tips and tricks for that type of thing where you know that like live content, it does not go away? If you think that you can delete a VOD, let me tell you, someone has clipped it and downloaded it on their computer and will repost it before you know it. So how do you, either safety issues like don't flash your credit card information on a stream. Don't make sure that you're careful about what you capture. But aside from that, do you guys have tips on like what do you do if you mess up, or how do you really make sure that when you're doing things live that you're doing it in the right way, that you're not gonna do anything you regret later?
Didn't Twitch release like a delay? There's a delay now.
There's been a delay for a long time. So you in your stream settings have the option to increase an additional delay. So if you want to set an additional, like, I think it's like 5 to minutes long between the time that you do something. It's called hand wave latency. So between the time that you wave your hand and the time that they see it, you can pick how long that is. So you could pick several minutes just in case you wanted to, like, oh my god, I knew that I messed up. You could just shut your stream down and they would never see it.
So, I mean, the delay would help. Also, you can add moderators to your dashboard, so they would have the ability to, like, shut off your stream if need be. I feel like most of us aren't really doing things that crazy that would I mean, unless you're like drinking and like afraid that you're going to do something, like maybe give your mod access, or you're like working out, because there's fitness channels that you can do now. Maybe if you're afraid that something might happen, do that. I feel like most of us are just sitting there gaming, so.
Is that just me? Dude, I've done so many things. My Alexa one time, when Amazon Alexas first came out, I was like, Alexa, what's the weather like? And she was like, the weather at, and started to list my geographical like location of my house. And I'm just, because I'm bad in emergency situations, I was just throwing things off my desk like, no, stop. And the chat's like, just mute your microphone. And I didn't do that. I freaked out and I panicked. Apparently that's just me, but don't also do that.
One of the things I coach a lot of streamers on is they have P.O. boxes and get stuff from people. So before you open anything on stream, take a big piece of paper and put it over it, and then hold it up to light and see if you can see it. And if you can, just take marker and just draw all over where your address is, because the last thing you want is your name or address coming through if you're going to open a box on stream. And when people send packages, part of the reward of sending those is celebrating that with the streamer that you sent the package to. So a lot of streamers have certain days they'll do it on, so people can make sure they're there on that day and things like that. For me, like on a single PC streaming setup, game capture. Because you just capture the game. You don't capture your screens, you don't capture Chrome, you don't capture your emails, you don't capture anything else. You capture just the game. And if you turn off that game capture, it's a blank screen. And if you move a window in front of it, you can't see it. But anytime you deal with outside devices, ask the questions before you do them on stream.
Okay, all right.
I did that one time myself, and it goes, oh, well, thank you for asking, William. And I'm like, thank God I did not use my real name there.
If something does happen, like you realize that there's like a package behind you that has your address on it, just don't react. If you react, you're like, oh crap, and like somebody's gonna be like, what? And then they're gonna clip it, and then it's over. So like, don't react. Take care of it. My other advice is to have a separate email address for everything like stream and content related. Completely separate email address, so it doesn't hook up to, even my Google Home is like hooked up to my streaming, just in case Google starts talking to me when I'm streaming. But yeah, just having it completely separate, almost identity.
That's also happened to me in the last week. I would learn, but I don't. That was not my fault. That was my daughter's fault. She came in and she was like, look, a package came, and I was like, no! I had to block that. That's an interesting topic as well, since you're here, about having kids on stream, right? For a really long time, I still today don't use my daughter's real name in any of my social media, and she only just within the last year started showing her face in videos. So she had never ever shown her face in videos before. She was never in my social media, and that was for her own protection until she got to the age where we could say, stranger danger is this. If someone calls you this, it means they don't know you. If someone calls you by your real name, you need to ask these questions. If someone walks up to you at a convention, which she comes to me now, this is what we do. If someone asks to take a picture with mommy, you need to stand within hand distance, right? You have to do we had to get her to the age where she was old enough to understand internet safety. And I do get this question from a lot of parents. Can I let my kid stream? Can I let my kid make YouTube videos? And my advice to them is always, if you're involved, and always if you're the one that's gating the content. If you're the one posting the video, if you're the one that's looking through the comments, if you're actively involved in the content, I don't see a problem with it. If the kids are streaming, kids have to be 13 to have an account on Twitch. So if you have a kid that wants to stream with you that's younger than that, or you have a little sister or someone that you're babysitting, making sure that the parents are always okay with it. It's important, but then also making sure that you have to have real conversations with them. Someone will say something in chat and then we'll read it, right? If your child is not emotionally prepared enough to respond to that comment or understand that sometimes people just say things that aren't very nice, you shouldn't let them stream. It will happen. It's a very hard thing to do. I've been very fortunate that the first time that she streamed with me, she wanted to raise money for puppies. Is a real thing. I know. I'm so proud. And the chat was overwhelmingly positive, right? They loved her. She had a great experience. She asked to stream every day. We don't. But because that's a one-off type thing. So do you have advice on, just real quick, about you have a little one, about what that's like, or if you guys have experience about that, what's some advice that you would have about kids being involved in content?
So I never intended to have my son on my stream, but I think he hears me at night because I stream while him and dad are awake, and he would bust into the room and see himself on screen, and people would say hi, and he calls them his buddies. So he likes to just come in and say hello. I personally don't think it's appropriate to have a child on stream if they can't consent themselves. I don't sit there and stream with him, but he just loves to be able to come in and say hello and stuff like that. But yeah, I think you touched base pretty much on everything. Having someone on stream just to make sure that they're protected, because a lot of kids have no idea anything about internet safety, and like you said, there's so many things that could go wrong with having a child on stream. But I would just make sure that you protect yourself and your child, and if they're too young to even comprehend what's going on, with my son, just make sure that you keep them protected and safe, and probably not on stream.
So as a non-parent, I'm about to give a lecture to parents, so this will be fun. If your kid is under the age of 13 and your parent is not involved, they better not be streaming. Flat out, period. No matter what you do, don't do it. It's asking for a lot of trouble. Keeping the kids safe with the parent there is really important. I know 2 streamers. One sits there, his 10-year-old daughter plays the game, does that, reads chat, and he's right there in chat the entire time with her. And that's how she streams, and she loves it and has a great time. And there have been nasty comments in there, and he takes them and he teaches her, hey, this person's being mean, don't respond, just keep going. And she's learned a lot of that. So self-awareness of that kind of thing is really important. Imperial Girl, a creative streamer I know, has a daughter named Zoe, and she lets her in her craft room. And you have Zoe TV, where she has a camera on her perler set up, and she just goes on and on for days about, just random strings of thought, and it's the cutest thing ever. But Imperial Girl's there watching and being an amazing lady, and always watching after the stream and her kid and just taking care of it. The really hard part is when they hit that 13-year-old threshold and you start not being able to learn what they're doing. And I've seen a lot of young ladies start streaming at 13, and it's ended in disaster, because you'll get those weird, sketchy people from all over the world coming in, and it's just one of those things you don't want to do. As a parent, you kind of have to get involved and know what your kid's doing to watch over them, because it's a dangerous place when you start showing your face and showing who you are and showing your cam. Twitch is a very open type system. You have to be very open and put out your personality and who you are to ever do anything with it. But the moment you do, you invite everyone in. And that's the very dangerous aspect for kids. When they hit about 15, 16, females start to be aware. Their parents have usually taught them there are bad people out in the world. And guys are aware, are able to deal with it through high school or in grade school, because they've had to deal with it through the other boys, through picking on them and stuff like that. But younger than that, it's kind of a mixed bag in general on average. But you always have outliers in that. It's one of those things I'm always wary of, and always let's hope they can do okay. But for the most part, a lot of the kids I see, especially on Twitch, have parental involvement. And it's the ones that don't that I'm always like, well, let's see how long they end up streaming. And for some, it's off and on, because kids go from one thing to another, and they're okay for the most part. They get a bad comment and they never do it again. But you can only always think what's going on in the background then.
It's also really important to know that it can be very easy to make content and post content and be live. On consoles, it's one click. So if a kid has an Xbox and a Kinect, they can go, even if they don't have a Kinect, they can go live, and people can hear them, and they can talk, and they can read chat. So if you do have a child that's under the age of 13, or a kid that you might be concerned about that's really into video games, that likes watching YouTube videos, I would be very, very much involved in looking through their console and saying hey, do you have this app? Hey, have you ever gone live? Hey, what's your username? These are questions that are very easy. And I've told kids this, and they hate when I tell them, if you're not willing to tell your parents information about something, they should just take it away from you. that's a very awful thing that kids don't want to hear.
Yeah.
But if you're hiding something or you're not telling the truth, I'm just going to take it away because it's for your safety. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm trying to protect you from things that you might not be ready to hear. Or I just want to know. I want to know. There are kids that I've seen on other platforms that they harass people. Yep. They troll. They think it's funny. You don't want your kid to be that person. So knowing that they have the possibility to do that, YouTube is the same way. You can one-click live stream. So just be watching what they're doing, watching their content. Kids are real smart. My daughter could figure out how to go live if I didn't watch her. So
live is forever, as she said, and that means if your 13 to 16-year-old is doing something on there, that video is going to be out there forever if someone wants it to be. And then the other fact as a parent are you willing to have 50 pizzas delivered to your house? Because if your child accidentally says where his name and what city
they're in, to school, yeah,
and you'll know, I can look up person in school. There's a reason my name and the info doesn't relate back to my real name. I can look up person. You can find school records online. You can find your address online, no problem. Family tree sites, go all down these listings. There's about 40 different sites that I had to remove my own personal info from just to make sure a lot of my personal info wasn't out there, and other ones that you have to sign up to be able to do them and send in photo IDs and stuff. Your kid's not going to do that, so their name's out there. Until they get of 18 and do it themselves, their name's out there. And unless you're willing to have pizzas, in the best case scenario, delivered to your house every single night for a month, be involved. And I'm not kidding. There's a lot of streamers where one streamer flashes a dress, and it went from people sending little funny mails to people sending 50 pizzas to people sending ladies to SWAT teams called to his house. And there's been SWAT teams storm into houses and they're full on M4s, handcuffs, get down on the ground at gunpoint. And that's the best case scenario for a SWAT.
Yeah. We're getting told it's time's up. We talked a lot. Hopefully you guys got a lot of information. It's okay. It wasn't you. It was mostly me. Hopefully you guys got a lot of information out of that. If not, you can always feel free to ping any of us on social media. You can find me everywhere at Aureylian.
You can find me at the Silver Foxe. It's Foxe.
WGrates, like a cheese grater or a storm grate.
And I'm CharlieStMonica, STMonica on everything.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for participating. Thank you guys for coming, and we hope you have a good rest of your day.
Ain't no game, but they saying welcome to the second level.